Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. This is the final review for White House Plumbers, now streaming on Max, episode 5. This is the last episode. This was an overall pretty good series, and I got some thoughts on it, but Akram, why don't we start off with you?
Yeah, so we get to see the resolution of this conflict, and I really felt for Howard. Howard's a really, I'd say, controversial character too, in history at least. So, yeah, a lot has happened in jail. So he's in jail now. And for the most part, a lot had to do with his daughter. She kind of like set things forward for him. So, yeah, the repercussions were kind of high, but I'm kind of glad with how they resolved it. Again, I'm not like a history buff when it comes to like this type of stuff. So seeing this come to this type of conclusion, I was like, okay, that's fine. So for the most part, it's pretty cool. Pretty solid episode.
Yeah, I was kind of, I know how it ends because it's, true to life. It's not like altered history or anything, but it was kind of sad seeing his resolution and how, like, he thought he was doing acts of goodness for the country, but at the end of the day, he wasn't really helping anybody, and he was actually hurting himself and his family. And, once the mom was gone, from there, it's like his relationship with his kids became very strained and they became very distant. And they started blaming him for a lot of their problems. And for Gordon, I think the wife actually was more supportive of Gordon, his wife, because she actually like waited for him to get out of jail. But even Gordon was kind of like a low life too, because he was saying like, well, because there was a chance for him to make a deal and get out sooner, but he said, I'd rather just stay here because it's for the pride of the country or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's just their mentality, because this episode is called True Believers. So it's like they really think that they're heroes at the end of the day, but really they're only, helping this maniacal almost dictatorship, right? It's like a coup de grace or like a, scandalous takeover. And Nixon didn't really, help anybody, right? So loyalty, the theme of this episode was like, how much is like loyalty worth? And for them, it was really like amounted to zero, basically.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, it's a shame. What else do you have to say?
Well, I thought it was funny when he said Howard, he was like, because they started bugging his house, like listening to him. He was like they don't tap my phones, I tap their phones. So it's like kind of ironic,
right?
And it was just sad, like I said, to see like, well, they had the funeral in the beginning, and then like the kids started getting like split up, and then the youngest son got adopted by like his godfather, which was like this politician guy, and they started. Well, Howard gave the records of the payoffs to the oldest daughter, Kevin. And she basically gave him an ultimatum and was like, if you don't come out with the truth, then I will. So that was basically, it's sad to see that, he was pushed that far, right, to, make a deal.
Right.
Because also they all got like locked in together with like the Cubans and the other guy, I forgot, I think his name is Sturgis. Mm-hmm. And James McCord was like the only guy that was like went free because he basically like testified. Mm-hmm. I also like Donald Gleason in this episode too. I think this is a really cool role for him, and he plays John Dean, right, who kind of like spilled the tea on what was going on. And I think also like just the atmosphere of the show like makes you feel like immersed in the 70s, because they have that aspect ratio of like the television. So as these events are transpiring, you can see like the actual like news coverage of the scandal, like as it's happening. So it's like you're almost like in the 70s watching this scandal unfold, and then you can kind of see like behind the scenes with the characters themselves. So I thought it was like really interesting, like seeing the narrative.
Yeah, why don't you touch on the actual like the climax of the show?
So it's kind of ending on a sad note, because they do end up going to jail and serving time. I thought maybe perhaps because I didn't know much about their stories personally, I thought maybe they would maybe make a deal or like get out early for good behavior or parole, whatever. But yeah, so Howard ends up in a minimum security prison and serving 2.5 years. So it was kind of like on a good note. But by then, like his relationship with his family was pretty almost like damaged. And it was interesting because they said like on his deathbed, he may or may not have alluded that he was part of the JFK assassination. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that's true or how close to the real life story behind it was, or maybe it was just like something he wrote in his real book, which is called Undercover. Maybe it was just something to sell books, to get public awareness or something. And Gordon ended up serving a little bit more, like 4 years. I thought the ending was funny because he tried to help this Jewish guy in prison get like kosher food, and then he just starts like everybody starts clapping for him because he did a good job, and then he just starts singing like the German national anthem, and the Jewish guy's like. So, I mean, I like that they tried to keep the funny moments with the sad moments too. So it ends on a very tragic note, but I think overall it was a successful finale. I can see like this show like probably won't get as many, or it won't be talked about as much, but I still think it's an interesting kind of look into like this huge famous scandal into history that we don't touch much on in media.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, so we're not doing a season 1 review. The reason is because we're not getting views at all for this series. So like from the very beginning to like now, it didn't feel really rewarding reviewing this series. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the numbers are pretty low for White House Plumbers on Max. And it must be kind of weird too when they did the shift from HBO Max to Max and the show was still going on. So yeah, again, it's just a mini series. I don't think it'll be very memorable, but it has great actors like Woody Harrelson, Justin Theroux as the lead. It's really great. So it is an authentic show, and I do like how they play with the comedy. But does it leave a lasting punch? I don't know. It's kind of hard when you do like historical type of show, and people know about it somewhat. You already have the lasting impact from the actual historical event. So when you see a show about it, it doesn't give you anything. So that's when you have to like really take liberties with the characters and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I wonder if actually one day, this kind of seems like a thing with like a play. I wonder if one day there's going to be like other media covering this. Like this, it's very like contained, interestingly enough, it's very contained and intimate.
Well, it's like they try to cover all perspectives. So we have the movie All the President's Men, and that was like the perspective of the journalists, covering it from the Washington Post. Now it's like more, this series is more at the forefront, the actual people that were involved in the break-in. So if they wanted to, they could do like another, I'm sure like somebody will do another retelling of this story, but they could also like other people, maybe like from Nixon's perspective. I thought that could be like really interesting, like seeing like his mindset throughout this whole ordeal.
Sure.
Or like some of the other, burglars or politicians, But I think what about this show was interesting. It was like seeing how devoted these people were to what they thought was a just cause, right? It's like politics got so ingrained in their mindset at the time because there was like this hyper sense of patriotism. It's like committing crimes in the name of what they thought was right for the country. And we can kind of see stuff like that going on now, but probably not to the extreme like where crimes are being committed. But it's just interesting seeing like their perspectives and kind of like how it's affecting like their personal life too. I don't know, like I said, like how accurate it was to like their personal lives, but it's really interesting like seeing it on screen.
Cool. So what would you rate this episode and the entire series?
Probably I'll give this I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was a satisfying ending. I still think the episode before with the wife was the most interesting. As for the series, I don't think it'll get a whole lot of coverage like we said, but it was still nonetheless entertaining to watch. So I'll probably give this like 7 out of 10 for me. How about you?
I would give this episode was okay. I'll give this episode I give it an 8. The series I'll give probably like a 4 or 5. I'm just not interested whatsoever, and it doesn't leave anything lasting, and I'm getting tired of seeing all these shows that are added and they didn't do shit. It's just like, I don't know where, unless they're pulling this money from Saudi Arabia. I don't know how they keep making these shows that don't really add nothing. But you know, if everyone wants to kind of see different perspectives and see like acting prowess and dick whatever, that's fine. But really, this wasn't much for us in terms of like a channel, and also just like you know, you can't even find this right now on Max, like if you scroll down and stuff. So unfortunately, it's kind of a forgettable experience for me, at least. And I am a Debbie Downer about that, but
no, well, it's not for everybody. But hey guys, you let us know what you thought, if you thought it was a great show or not. And check out our other reviews. We have other HBO shows that we cover as well. We're covering The Idol right now. Let us know how we're doing with that. And we also finished Succession and Barry, which are 2 great HBO shows as well. And thank you guys for sticking around. If you stay till the end, share, anything helps the channel. But thank you guys so much. And until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, and see you.